Welcome to the fourth and final in my series of if you can crochet a beanie, you can crochet a bunny lovey. So this is the one we're making in this series. And what we're going to do here, we're going to do the very last round of this bunny, the bunny head, and then we're going to start on the blankie part. So I hope you enjoy, and I hope that at the end you will be inspired to go out and try something new with your crochet and make something a little different than what you're used to. And I also hope that when you see how many goofs and foibles I make, that you realize that it's okay to make mistakes. Even if you make mistakes, things still turn out, will still turn out cute. Thank you guys again for joining me. So at this point, you can do one of a few things. You can cut your yarn, and then you would go ahead and seal up the ball. And the way you would seal up the ball is you would come through and do these, catch these. You would take your yarn needle. Let me find what I do with my yarn needle. I lost my yarn needle, guys. How did I lose my yarn needle? Oh well. I will show you with my crochet hook, since I don't know where my yarn needle is at the moment. What you would do is you would come and you would catch, this is your first one here, you'd catch this loop, then this next loop, you just kind of under, all the way under, and then you'd pull it tight, and then you'd hide the tail and the head, and then you have to go back and you have to attach your blanket. I don't like sewing things on, so I do things where I have to sew as little on as possible. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just go ahead and start. Well, I'm not going to go ahead and start right away because I actually want to seal this up just a little bit more before I start my blanket. So get this extra fiber fill out of the way. So what I'm going to do, because I want to go down from 6 to 4 stitches. So I'm going to do a single crochet, and I'll mark that one because it's just kind of hard to see here. And then I'm going to do 2 together because I'll make it smaller. So I want to close that hole up as much as possible. And then another single crochet. And 2 together. Now this is what's kind of difficult, is because this is kind of small. That's what makes this difficult. The stitches aren't difficult, it's just maneuvering in there. There we go. So now we are down to 4, so our head is as sealed as it's going to get. So at this point we need to decide how are we going to do. And look, my my marker came off. Yay. So at this point we need to figure out how are we going to do our blanket. Okay, so we have done 1 single crochet, 2 together, 1 single crochet, 2 together to have 4 stitches around. And now we are going to start with our blanket. I had started off with our blanket and doing it one way, but then I changed my mind and decided I want to go back and do it this way, like the skirt, like this. And I will insert a picture of the very first one of these bunnies that I made that had the skirt going a different way. So what we're going to do, we're going to do 2 single crochets. I've actually already done 1 single crochet into this stitch just because I kind of got a little ahead of myself. So we're going to do 2 single crochets in each stitch around for a total of 8 stitches. And this is a little tight and a little fidgety. And the only reason why I'm doing the 2 single crochets in each stitch all the way around, just to kind of give me a little bit more room to work with, because this is gonna be tight and fidgety. One more last stitch here. Like I said, this is kind of tight and difficult. But once we get out a little bit more, we will be doing good. Okay, so we are going to slip stitch back into our first stitch. I'm going to count, make sure I have 8 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 is that little stitch right there. So I'm going to go in there and I'm going to slip stitch there. And some people, when they make granny squares, this is not the, hold on a minute, that got a little tight. Let me back that out. It was catching on something there. So back into, make sure I'm going in the right spot. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Slip stitch in here. Some people, when they're doing a granny square, they start in a corner and then they slip stitch to the corner and start in a corner every round. I don't do mine that way. There's nothing wrong with doing it that way. That's just, I don't like having to slip stitch to the corner each time. And the way I do it seems to work and doesn't seem to make a difference. So I'm going to show you the way I do it. And I think I split my yarn there. I think that's what my problem is. Yeah, I split my yarn. So I'm going to chain 4. That's going to count as a treble crochet. And then in my next stitch, I am going to work a corner. And my corner is going to be one treble, two trebles, chain 3, and that same stitch, oop, I was about to do a double, one treble, two trebles. Okay. So then our next one, because we've got one stitch, then a corner, then we're going to do another stitch. So we're going to do the next stitch, we're going to do a treble. You know, it's kind of hard sometimes to see because this is so small and together. You kind of have to really look at where you're going because you have just such a small area that you're working around right now, and plus you did several stitches into that one stitch, which you kind of hide your next stitch. So you kind of have to really look closely at what you're doing around this round. So then we did a treble in that stitch. So then we're going to work a corner, treble, and you could have, but I did not do this, and actually I usually do this. I'll usually change up to a larger hook size for this part. It's my second treble. 3 chains. Hold on. Pulled out that third chain there. Then we do 2 more trebles in that same stitch. Sorry, my yarn is a little knotted. Because like I said, I started this one way and then I changed my mind and I pulled it back out. So my yarn is a little unwieldy at the moment. Okay, so that was 1 treble, 2 treble, chain 3, another treble. So our last treble here. Okay, then in the next stitch, we're just going to do a treble. And you could do doubles or you can do half doubles or whatever. I just do trebles because it gets me out further faster, if that makes any sense. So then our next stitch, so we've got 1 corner, 2 quarters. My next stitch is going to be our 3rd corner. So we're going to treble. And I'm sorry if I'm hard to follow, because like I said, I'm not really trying to do this as a tutorial. I'm just trying to give you some inspiration and some ideas and let you see me mess up and how I can how I fudge things sometimes. And then what it looks like at the end when you do things like that. Is you can mess up, you can fudge things to correct things, and then in the end, it'll all work out nice and nobody will know your mistakes but you. And I do sometimes, like I said, pull them out if I get too frustrated or if I get too far along or if I'm not able to fudge it to make it work right. 1, 2, 3. So, and then my chain 3. And my 2nd treble after that for my corner. Okay. And after this first round, things will go a lot faster. Okay, so it's 1 corner, 2 corners, 3 corners. And then my next stitch is just 1 treble in my next stitch. And then we're back around to our last stitch. So we're gonna work a corner in that last stitch. And if you started with a corner, then you would be doing just a single stitch there, but this is the way I do it. And like I said, I don't really have a pattern for this. Kind of just merged a few things I knew. Because I like to do the little stuffies, the little amigurumi stuffies. I like to do those. They're kind of small and quick, and I feel like they're very rewarding because, you know, when you see how cute they are at the end, and they're not always perfect. Okay, so then I'll work that last corner. So now I am going to slip stitch up into the top of this chain 4. To finish that round. Oh, go back in and catch that. For some reason, that slip stitch does not want to go. I didn't even put that in the right spot. I'm just having difficulty there. There we go. Got it that time. Then we're going to chain 4, which counts as our first treble. So then we've got 2 trebles before we go to that, get that chain 3. We have 2 trebles from the previous round. So we're going to do a treble in the first treble. And we're going to do a treble in the second treble. So you've got 1, 2, 3 trebles. That counts as 3 trebles. First, that counts as a treble, second treble, third treble. And then we're going to do our corner, which is a treble, followed by another treble. Sorry. Followed by chain 3. Followed by 2 more trebles. And now you should have, I know we've done that, you should have 5 stitches in a row before you get to your next corner. So you're going to do 1 treble, 1 treble, 1 treble, 1 treble, 1 treble, 1 treble. I kind of like saying treble if you haven't gotten that already. So you're going to do 5 trebles in a row in the next 5 stitches. So, and then you should be back at your corner again. That's if you're doing this the same way as I'm doing it. So it's 1, 2, 3. So we need to do 4 and 5. 4, 5. And just if you're kind of a numbers person, so in that first round, you had 1 treble followed by a corner. 1 treble followed by a corner all the way around. So this one, you're going to have 5 trebles followed by a corner. Because you're starting in the middle, you're going to end up with 3. Next round will be 7. No, next round should be 9 trebles in between your corners. But your first time you'll be doing trying to do my math in my head here. You'll be doing 5 trebles before you get to your first corner. If I did not confuse you. I hope I did not confuse you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we're doing a corner. Just throwing numbers out there at you. But that's the way my brain works, is seeing the patterns and the number patterns in these. That might be why I kind of like doing things in a round like this, because your head we kind of did worked in a round, the body we're working in a round, and just, I don't know, working in rounds just works better in the way my brain works. Not that I can't work in rows, since I do work in rows, but I think I just enjoy working in rounds better because, like I said, that's just the way my brain works. And I'll probably edit some of these me unraveling yarn out of here. 1, 2, 3. And then another treble. Do, 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 do. Hold on. Okay. Treble. Boom, boom. Treble. Okay. Okay, so then we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 again, so 5 more trebles. And I'm gonna meet you back when we get to the line, back around to the beginning. So we're gonna do, well, we got 4 trebles left, then a corner. 5 trebles in a corner, then 2 trebles, and you're gonna slip stitch back to here. And I'll meet you when we slip stitch back to here. Okay, so I just slip stitched back to that first one of this round, and as you see, this is kind of like the back side of a granny square right here. So just, if you had started with your corner first, then you would slip stitch to your corner. I just find that nobody notices when it's in the middle, and I just find it's easier to do that than to keep slip stitching to the corner and starting in a corner each time. But you do whatever is easier for you. If you did granny squares where you start in the corner, and if you want to do a different granny square, like one that's got a granny stitch, or if you want to do half doubles, or if you want to do one that's got, I don't know, some other stitch around. I can't think of another stitch right now off the top of my head that would work in a granny square. You could also make this octagon if you want. You could also just keep going in a round circle and make it a big round blanket. You can make it whatever you feel. So I'm going to chain 4. Again, I'm about to leave you guys and let you work on your own. Then we're going to have 4 trebles a corner. Then we're going to have 9 trebles in a corner. Then we're going to have 9 more trebles in a corner, 9 more trebles in a corner, and then 4 trebles. So basically, every round you should add between your two corners, whether you start in a corner or you start in the middle like I'm starting, you should add 4 more stitches in between each corner each time, because you're doing 4 stitches in here. So that this next round will be 13, and then the round after that'll be 17, and then the round after that'll be 21, and so on. So I'm gonna work on this bunny, and then I'm gonna come back and meet you and let you, once I get it as big as I want it to be, and I'll let you know how many rounds I did. Okay, I just want to do a really quick kind of update with you guys. I'm not at the end yet, but I've got a color change going on here. So we are at, I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rounds. I've gotten to a color change. On this bunny that I've already done, this lovey, it had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think these ones are half double crochet rounds. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, because these are shorter rounds. But we are just going to compare sizes here, because I think that one's a good size. We're probably a little bit over halfway there. So I'm going to do a few more rounds and check my size, and then I will come back and we can see me finish it off, and we can see how cute of a bunny lovey turns out. Okay. Okay, I've completed my bunny now. I did a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 rounds of treble crochets. Treble crochet in each stitch until you come to the corner. The corner is 2 trebles, a chain 3, and 2 trebles, and that's in that chain 3 spot of the previous row. And then on my final round, I did 1 single crochet in each spot until you got to the corners. In the corners, I did 7 single crochets in the corners. So it turned out a little bit bigger than my other one, which is fine. Turned out just a little bit bigger, but it's still cute. Also, I haven't sewn in my tail yet. I didn't do that deliberately, so I can show you guys. I'm gonna hold it up close and hopefully you can see. Let me just check and see if you can see. Right here, that's where I did my chain 4s. That's where I did my chain 4s each time it goes up. You don't really see a line with that unless you're really looking for it. So unless you're looking for it, you don't find that. So that's why I don't think it matters if you do it in the center. I think people think that, they do it in the corner, thinks that it just hides it better in the corner. But unless you're just really being scrutinized, you're not going to see those. They blend in very well. So that's it. And I'm going to sew in and cut off my tail now. So we are just going to go under a few stitches in one direction. Try to stay all in the back here, not go around to the front. And then we're going to go in the other direction. We're going to skip a stitch we're going under, just so we're not going on the exact same path, because otherwise you'll pull it right back out, what you just did. And then I'm going to try to find a stitch here that I can go up. And then I'm going to go back. And I don't know if you noticed here, I did start another color change just before I ended it. Come back down and back through. And I'm just kind of doing multiple different ways here to, hold on, I went to the front there. I don't want to go through the front. Okay. Just multiple different ways to do it. And now I'm going to cut off my tail. And now we have made a bunny lovey. And we didn't really use any skills. We used, well, we didn't use really many skills other than the same skills it takes to crochet a beanie. So if you've never crocheted anything more than a beanie or anything more simple than a blanket, you know, it's really not that much more difficult. Just kind of wanted to encourage people to break out of their comfort zone with crochet and try, because you know what? It's just yarn. If it doesn't work out, you can rip it out and start over and just make something else with it. I've done that many times. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Well, not tutorial, this crochet inspiration. That's what I'm calling it, because I just don't feel like I explain things well enough to call it a tutorial. And thank you guys for joining me. And like any other YouTube channel, you can like, subscribe, share, all those wonderful things. Thanks again.